Okay, and today we're going to focus a little bit on early Christianity and its relationship in the Roman Empire, and how early Christianity came to be. Some of the key vocab as well as key significant people of the early Christian movement within the Roman Empire. We're also going to look at uh, early Christians' interaction with Judaism in the Roman Empire, and really how both these major religions coexisted in the Roman Empire, and how the Roman rule impacted their religion. If you log on to Discovery Ed and use the tech book to get a little information, we use it a little bit on Monday. We'll use it a little bit more on Friday to kind of wrap up the chapter on early Christianity. But in the Discovery Ed Tech book, it's in chapter 11, so we're going to look at that for a little bit. And here are some of the key concepts that we're going to talk about when we talk about Christianity, including monotheism, the belief in one God. Up to this point, many civilizations, including the Romans, were polytheistic, meaning they believed in multiple or many gods. The belief in Jesus as the Messiah and God's Son, the concept of resurrection, the concept of salvation, the belief in the Old and New Testaments, the lives, the teachings, and contributions of Jesus and Paul, and also the relationship of early Christians to the officials of the Roman Empire. Now, again, we're going to be looking at the three major religions during this time period that will come out of the area that used to be occupied by the Roman Empire, which include Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. So these three religions we will be looking at from a historical perspective. So, to understand the conflict that's going to arise from early Christians being a part of this Roman Empire, when Christianity began to develop in the Roman Empire, as the Romans conquered a new nation, or as they took more land, whoever was a part of that nation, they were allowed to practice their own religion and worship their own gods, but they were also required to accept Roman gods as well. So, for Christianity, which is monotheistic, to take on or have to accept multiple gods and be polytheistic, as the Romans were, was considered sinful. So, this often led to many Christians saying that they would not do that. So in 63 BC, Pompey the Great invades what is now Israel and captures the city of Jerusalem. At the time, the region was known as Judea. The land was populated by the Hebrew people who practiced Judaism. And unlike most people who were conquered by the Romans, many of the Hebrews refused to take on Roman gods in addition to their monotheistic belief in one God. Um, Jewish law told them that they were not allowed to worship the Roman gods, and so therefore they kind of dug in their heels and said, "There's one God. We're monotheistic. He's our one God. This is what we're staying with." So a lot of the issues that the Jews faced under the Roman rule would also become issues that Christians would face, which phases us into how did and where did Christianity come from. And the central figure that we study when we study Christianity is Jesus. Um, Many of you are probably familiar with Jesus, but from a historical perspective, we're going to look at and talk a little bit about him. So, early Christianity, or early Christians, focus the religion of Christianity around Jesus, who is born in, as calendars would become 1 BC, before Christ, and then the calendar would also represent AD, which would start after the birth of Christ. As you can see here, Christians believe that Jesus was born to a mortal mother named Mary, but was actually the Son of God. Many Christians see Mary as a holy figure. Jesus' birth is celebrated during the Christian holiday of Christmas. Some things that we commonly know in our society, but what we're going to be looking at is how that all plays into early Christians under Roman rule. This week, as we study Christianity, we're going to be looking closely at exactly who was Jesus. We have textual evidence to tell of the life of Jesus. We'll look at some of that information this week. In the end, the Gospels, which are in the Bible, will recount that after 3 days after his death, Jesus was resurrected and brought back to life. He returned for a brief period to speak with his followers. And then it said he ascended into heaven. This is what historians would point towards as the beginning of Christianity. All right, a few things for you to think of. What are the names of the two religions practiced in the Roman Empire that we've talked about here today that were monotheistic? One thing we're going to look at is how those two religions were impacted by the Roman Empire and how even when Rome fell, those two religions continued to this day to be widely practiced across the world. In the Christian belief, who was Jesus and what was his significance to the religion of Christianity? And then we're going to spend some time this week with these key vocab terms, understanding apostle, disciple, parable, resurrection, and salvation. So these may be things that you want to try to look up the definitions on your own. You can use the Discovery Ed Tech book to do that. We'll be using the textbooks in class tomorrow to do the same. Tomorrow, some of the main questions we're going to look at are: what is Judaism? What is Christianity? How are they similar? How are they different? And how did both of these religions and their monotheistic beliefs being wedged into a polytheistic empire, how did it impact the Roman Empire? Rome is still a city in existence, and Italy is an independent nation in existence today, but the Roman Empire is no more, but Judaism and Christianity are. So we're going to look tomorrow at kind of how these two religious ideas moved past even the Roman Empire. On Wednesday, we're going to start looking a little bit at how these three major religions still play a huge factor today in our world. We're going to have some comparisons of early formations of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. All three of these major religions really kind of have a birth out of a region that will be impacted or had been impacted by the Roman Empire.